Hi friends, my name is Brittany and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're chatting about the New York State plastic bag ban. That being said, even if you don't live in New York State, stick around because I have some interesting facts about plastic bags and some tips that you can implement even if your state doesn't have a plastic bag ban. Plastic bags, you see them everywhere. Hanging from trees, blowing down the street unattended, people carrying them home from the grocery store, and in the stomachs of sea animals. In New York State, plastic bags will soon be a thing of the past. New York has joined 7 other states across the country that plans to ban plastic bags within the next 2 years. If you live in California, Hawaii, Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Oregon, or Vermont, you might have already seen some of these plastic bag bans implemented. If not, they'll be coming soon. They all have slightly different rules, but they all serve the same purpose: to reduce the amount of single-use plastics that we're using in our day-to-day lives. Let me know below if you've experienced a plastic bag ban in your city. So let's talk a little history. In just over 50 years, plastic bags have wreaked havoc on our ecosystems, polluted the planet, and threatened wildlife. The plastic bag as we know it was introduced in 1965 and became widely spread across America by 1979. This means that you, your parents, or your grandparents probably lived without this modern convenience for at least a portion of their lives. And as of 2011, it's estimated that over 1 million plastic bags are used per minute worldwide, most for never more than 20 minutes at a time. The DEC estimates that New York State uses over 23 billion plastic bags per year. That's 63 million per day, 2.5 million per hour, nearly 44,000 per minute, and over 700 per second in New York State alone. So before we get to more information about the plastic bag ban, I wanted to talk about plastic itself and how I look at it and why I think we're kind of being a little irresponsible with the way we're using it. Everything that we make or consume should be considered at every point in its life cycle. How is it made? How long does it last? How do we dispose of it? And most importantly, what happens to it after we dispose of it? So let's answer those questions as they pertain to plastic. How is it made? So plastic is made from oil, which is a non-renewable resource. This means that there's a limit to how much plastic we can create, and it's not sustainable to keep using it over and over again at the rate that we're using it now. How long does it last? Ironically enough, plastic products tend to break relatively easily, but the plastic itself sticks around forever, and that's a problem. How do we dispose of it? Each type of plastic has to be disposed of in a different way depending on where you live. Each city or town has different rules when it comes to plastic recycling, and those rules aren't always made clear. So it's really important to make sure that you are doing your research and recycling properly. Otherwise, you run the risk of contaminating an entire bale and sending otherwise good resources to landfill. Because at the moment, only about 9% of plastic recyclables are actually recycled. So the moral of the story here is that we really shouldn't be figuring out better ways to recycle. We should be thinking about ways that we can remove plastic from our everyday lives in the first place. So what happens to it after we dispose of it? Plastics that can't be recycled or haven't been recycled properly wind up in landfill, or worse, in our waterways. This is because plastic never actually disappears. Instead, it just breaks up into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics. And the smaller they become, the more easily they can travel through wind, through water, through the air, to get to our drinking water and to the ocean. All that being said, plastic can be a truly wonderful thing. It keeps things sterile, allows for incredible medical, scientific, and technological innovations that keep ourselves and our loved ones safe and alive in some cases. But we're using it irresponsibly. Single-use plastics are a waste of an incredibly valuable resource. And like I said before, there's a limited amount of oil in the earth, and it's getting harder and harder to access. So instead of taking advantage of the convenience it offers, we should be making room for it to be used when it's absolutely necessary. So enough of that. Let's talk about this plastic bag ban. A plastic bag ban, at least in the state of New York, means that any store collecting a sales tax cannot give out plastic bags at checkout. This includes grocery stores, retail stores, and small businesses like bodegas, pet stores, hardware stores, and electronic shops. For New Yorkers, this ban does not include bags for uncooked meat, fish, or poultry, produce bags, bags used in the bulk section, sliced or prepared foods, for newspaper delivery, prescription drugs, trash bags, food storage bags, garment bags, and bags for carry-out orders at restaurants. The hope is to encourage people to bring their own bags. Instead of plastic bags, stores will now provide paper bags for customers that forget their own. And individual counties can elect to charge a 5-cent paper bag tax. Local governments will keep 2 cents to put towards a program to distribute reusable bags, and the remaining 3 cents will go towards the New York State's Environmental Protection Fund. It's important to note that customers on food stamps or government assistance will not be required to pay the 5-cent tax. So here's the big question. Is paper really better than plastic? And the answer is yes and no. So in terms of where it comes from and how it's disposed of, yes, paper is better. It comes from a renewable source and it can be composted, so it can go back to earth. But the point here is not to swap over to another single-use item. Instead, we want to encourage the habit of reusables. So what if I can't afford a reusable bag? This is something that I don't think the New York State government has really done a great job of promoting. The only reason that I know this information is because I went ahead and did the research myself, but a lot of signage that I've seen doesn't have this information available to everyone, which I think is a problem. But here are a few things that you can do to make this transition a little bit easier for yourself. If you live in New York City, you can take the Department of Sanitation Zero Waste Pledge, and they'll ship you a reusable bag free of charge. And New York City will also be doing free bag giveaways throughout the month of March. I'll link both of those resources below so you can check them out. So all that being said, here are a few other options that you can consider before you go out and purchase a reusable bag for yourself. Use the plastic bags you already have. Take them back to the store and reuse them over and over and over again until they're good and worn. There's no tax on doing that. Stores just can't hand them out. Check in with family and friends to see if they have extras. I definitely do. So if you live in New York, reach out to me. You can use non-traditional bags to bring your groceries home. Backpacks, purses, duffel bags, cardboard boxes, really anything. And if you're going to invest in reusable bags, make sure you invest in them on an as-needed basis. They tend to hold a little bit more than a typical plastic bag, so hold off on getting a whole bunch of them right away. And if you're feeling generous and have an extra bag to give, maybe offer one to someone at the grocery store who doesn't have one yet. So what do you do with the bags that you already own? Honestly, probably the same thing that you've been doing. Keep using them until they're good and worn. And once they are, make sure they're clean and dry and bring them to a recycling drop-off location near you. Plasticfilmrecycling.org has a great resource where you can type in your zip code and find a drop-off point near you. I'll throw that link below as well. And one more thing before we go. So about 6 months ago, a plastic bag ban was actually implemented in my hometown. And I'm part of one of those like Facebook groups where everyone kind of airs their grievances. And my God, there were a lot of complaints about this plastic bag ban. The 2 major complaints that I heard have relatively simple solutions, so I want to offer those to you. The first one was, I can't remember to bring my bags with me. And I totally understand. This is very hard to remember every time you want to go out, but I have a couple of recommendations. And the solution to this depends on where you live. So if you live in a place where you're driving a car to the grocery store, just make sure that you're always leaving your reusable bags in your trunk, or better yet, in the seat next to you if you're not often driving with someone. This way, even if you forget to bring them into the store, you can always check out, refill your grocery basket, bring it out to the parking lot, and pack your bags there. And if you're someone like me who lives in a city with massive public transport and you're not in a car all the time, I'd recommend just keeping a bag in your backpack, a purse. I mean, they sell tiny, tiny ones these days that you can keep just about anywhere. And more often than not, I'll just use my backpack or my hands to carry things home. Another major complaint that I saw was, I'm gonna have to buy small trash bags for my little garbage cans. And maybe eventually, sure. But for now, I just recommend using those bags over and over and over again. Put them in your trash can, fill it up with all your trash, and then dump that bag into a larger garbage bag. Replace the small bag and you're good to go. When the time comes to finally purchase a smaller garbage bag, let me know and I will do a video on how to avoid gross, messy garbage in your garbage can so you don't even need those. So friends, that's plastic bags in a nutshell. If you have any additional questions or thoughts on the plastic bag ban, I'd love to hear them. I know that the world of low waste living and sustainability isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. So when we implement these larger actions, it might affect people in ways that we never even thought of. And if your state isn't participating in a plastic bag ban yet, take some time. Write your senators or your local government and see what they can do. Or start even smaller and try to encourage change at your local grocery store. Every little bit counts. All right, friends, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.